library. So if you are a library lover, we would love to have you with us. I promise we won't be too long. We'll get you out in time. And so hang around. We also have the Time Magazine Girl of the Year is in the house, Harris-DeBerry, and she will be interviewing her forever librarian. They have a bond. So Miss Sharon knew Naomi before she was Time Magazine and all of that stuff. So she saw her literacy journey. And so they're going to have a few minutes just to talk about that. And then we have Donnie Rose is in the house, an amazing poet is in the house. We have Shayna Turner who is here. And I am old enough to remember when there was something called Black Swan on Aretha Castle Haley. They had some amazing food, and I miss it. And so she is in the house and a fiction writer and doing amazing things as well. And we have Megan Braden Perry in the building, who is a wonderful writer. I think you were in what food magazine were you just in? Bon Appetit. And if she ever posts about a place to go eat, you should go because she knows her New Orleans food. So, and we have, did I miss somebody? Who did I miss? Stan! How could I forget Stan? Our brother Stan, who is, we call him Blue Collar Scholar. He is a retired mail carrier. If you got your mail on time, it was probably because of Brother Stan. And so he reads everything and everybody, and he is a big supporter of all writers, all things books. And so he's going to do a tribute to libraries as well. My name is Kelly Harris-DeBerry, and I'm your host for the evening. And I see so many beautiful faces in the audience. Give yourselves a round of applause. Text somebody and say, come on down the Bayou Road. It's about to go down. We are at the Words and Music Festival. I'm just doing commercials right now. We're at the Words and Music Festival, which is in its, I don't know what year it is, but Megan Holt has been the director for 8 years. Give it up for 8 years. I remember the transition, and I've been trying to help Megan as much as I can with this festival, and it's always a pleasure to curate some things. But One Book, One New Orleans is a program that does amazing things. They pick a book for the whole city to read, and I forget all the choices this year, and I don't think the selection has been made yet, but I'm sure she will tell you about that. But the Words and Music Festival is where we are, and it is such a pleasure to be a part of this, combining words and music together. And so, somebody's saying I have a book. To sign, I need to sign a book. So there's books for sale. The bar is open, and it's a Friday night. So get you some wine, get you a book, and we'll be, how many people are book readers, book lovers in the house? We thank you, we appreciate it. We have our former poet laureate right here, Allison Pellegrin is in the house, in the building. One of my dear friends, an amazing poet. What's your latest book? Because I can't remember. She has so many. Our Lady of Bewilderment. I thought you had another one. But Our Lady of Bewilderment is good, and it is on my shelf, and you should check it out. You should get it. And let me see who else I'm scanning with no Brad Richard is in the building as well, doing some new work around literary work in the city, and has been trying to get a New Orleans Poet Laureate position in this city. So let's try to move that forward. I owe you an email and a call for like 8 years or 8 months at least. I'm gonna get to it. And thank you all for coming this evening. We will start shortly. So get your drinks, text your friends, and we'll be up here. I love this sound, so good. I love a good sound person. Oh, shout out to all the sound people and everybody here at the ACC, this beautiful place with stage and theater and all kinds of stuff. New Orleans has it going on. So give all yourself another round of applause and we'll be back shortly. This is like the later part of the festival. So people have been festing all day. And so we appreciate you staying with us and hanging out with us tonight. And there's a slew of events tomorrow, a wonderful schedule, so please check that out as well. Our next writer, next featured writer, I love her because she tells the absolute truth on social media. She will tell you if the people's food is good or not. She don't care, and she is a New Orleanian, for real, for real. Like, she has all the stories, and so I'm gonna read a little bit. This is a short bio, but she is bad in the way that Sonia Sanchez says bad. Megan Braden-Perry is an author, award-winning journalist, multi-generational Black Creole, New Orleans native, and mom. Her books include Crescent City Snow, my favorite, The Ultimate Guide to New Orleans Snowballs, we were just talking about Icy's earlier snowball stands, and Alan the Alligator Counts Through New Orleans, a New Orleans kids counting book, which I'm sure you can find in the New Orleans Public Library. She has had bylines that appeared in Bon Appetit, Oxford American, The Thrillist, Apartment, Therapy, Parent Magazine, Today, Essence, New York Daily, and the list goes on. She, Megan, is a recipient of the 2025 Black Women in Food Amplifier Award. Go ahead, congratulations. And she is a proud Dillard alum and an awardee of the 40 Under 40. Please welcome Megan Braden-Perry to the stage.
She knew that, well, she knows because she's clearly here somewhere. She would kill me if she knew I was reading from a piece of paper, but she can't really come down and hurt me, so there's that. Yeah, so I'm just here to talk about why I love the library. So, I am a 7-year-old girl, Nora Navra, that's the one I grew up with. Yeah, thank you. And a lot of my favorite memories are at the library. Like I remember, being in kindergarten, and Adela, storyteller, Adela Gaucher, yes, God rest her soul. She came to school to do story time. And then I saw her at the library. And I was like, oh my God. Like, how can you be there and also here? Like, this is kind of crazy. But I love the library. They used to have the haunted house, and I remember, and even as a grown-up, I would go to the library when my son was potty training. I said, I'm not gonna have all these potty training books, like that's crazy, why would I own these? So I just went to the library and I took out a whole stack. And I remember when I was a little kid, I don't remember potty training, but I remember losing my teeth, and there was this book. It was about a little bunny, and he lost his teeth. He lost his tooth in ice cream, like a chocolate ice cream. And I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. I could lose my tooth in ice cream. Like this is awesome. My mom and I used to walk there and do our little thing. Now, as a grown-up, my favorite library is New Orleans East, because I'm hanging out there a lot. In fact, fun fact, if you like my outfit, it is from the Goodwill in New Orleans East. So, the shoes and the dress are all from the little outlet Goodwill. So that's something I like to do, and maybe that's something y'all can do too. You can go get your little coffee, go get some food, go to the Goodwill, and then go to my favorite library in New Orleans East, which I think has the best view. And then, that's another thing I was gonna say, just I love the library. There's the library card with all the resources on there, like the genealogy, and you can look in the newspaper archives, which I've done since Jarvis and I used to work at the paper together. I used to look in the archives just online because you can find so many things. and that's super, super helpful. And I was gonna say that I had a job interview the other day, and I mentioned to them something about the library, because this is something y'all might need to know. Do you know that with your library card, you can access LinkedIn Learning for free? Exactly, it's so fun, and you can learn anything on there, like anything in the world. And that's it. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Okay, you can study for the GRE, for the LSAT, for the MCAT, for the NCAT. You can study for the SAT, PSAT, ACT. You can also do like different little grade level specific learning, like I guess for like the LEAP or something. What else have I done on there? You can learn how to fix your car. You can look at the deeds to your house. What else can you do? Of course, I mentioned the archives. There's Tumble Books. So when I was a teacher, I used to love to just let Tumble Books play. And it's so fun because it's reading the books for you, these children's books. And it's just really cool. So it's something fun and it's free. And if you go into the library, you can access ABC Mouse and Ancestry.com for free. So I am a very big library fan, like my niece Naomi over here. Love it, love it, love it. And then yeah, support the library when you can. Go to the book sales with friends and go do stuff and volunteer and have fun and tell your friends, because it's fun. And if we don't do anything there, it won't be good. So we should all support our friends at the library. That is all. Okay, I'm gonna do like my niece. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, there you go. Thank you.
Always has the goods on food, thrift stores, and everything in between. Keep your hands clapping, clap your hands for our next reader. I appreciate him so much. You know, it's one thing to be a writer, it's another thing to have fans. And Uncle Stan, I call him Uncle Stan, AKA Blue Collar Scholar. If you've ever been to an event with a writer, if there's ever an opportunity for a question, he is going to ask a question. He always has a question. But he is a retired letter carrier. And he knows everything about every neighborhood in New Orleans, the zip codes, everything. So he sent me his bio. And I'm gonna just read what he sent. Charity Hospital baby, class of 1951. He is an Air Force veteran from 1970 to 1974, also a medic in Montgomery, Alabama to Weisenbaden in Germany. Son, brother, uncle, father, Paran, retired letter carrier, union official, he be working, y'all. Second liner, he got the footwork, he is a foodie, he loves music except disco. He loves Allman Brothers, Miles Davis, James Carroll Booker, Professor Longhair, Beyonce, John and Alice Coltrane, Willie Nelson, Taylor Swift, a fashionable. He is also a Dallas Cowboy fan. We're gonna still love you, but I mean, he reads everything and is usually in the audience somewhere. And so I thought, we gotta bring a reader, a real supporter of writers and readers to this, because if there's anybody that kind of embodies the love of libraries, it's Stan Taylor. Welcome him to the stage.
Good evening. Good evening. Stan Taylor. This is recognizing one of our poet laureates from the state of Louisiana, Allison Pellegrin over here, give her a hand. And the reason I say that, I really appreciate what Kelly had to say, because I really used to drive my brother who passed away, but you know, we had a very brotherly thing going on. And I would always say that Stanley Taylor has a propensity to pontificate prolifically on a plethora of subjects. So that was an alliteration. So he says, well, clarify that. He says, well, that's bovine scatology. And he says, well, what is that? I says, well, bullshit. When Kelly asked me to be here tonight, I'm going, you know, so what's the punchline, right? One of the things that is very interesting, particularly about the libraries, and particularly about New Orleans, a couple years ago, I was sitting down on with a yellow legal pad, and you know, we already know that American art form, the only American art form started here in New Orleans, and that is jazz. And then I started thinking about all the writers, and I'm looking back at that table right there, and Kelly refers to me as a blue-collar scholar, and I said, you know, I'm the lumpen proletariat. I'm the worker, you know, that gets things done, and the letter carrier is the facilitator of hand-to-hand communication. What is that? It's allowed to deliver the letters, and the bills, and the FEMA checks. Libraries are very essential in my life. I grew up in San Antonio, but I was born at Cherry Hospital, as she's already alluded to, in 1951. And when we would come here from the summers in San Antonio, you know, while my brother and my other cousins were out throwing the football or the frisbees, they don't happen anymore, I don't think, but the bookmobiles played a very essential part of my life. And I'm so glad to be here with a bunch of nerds, because nerds run the world, right? And I had a bag back there that I picked up at the Storytime collection, and I was thinking about that because I'm not in that 1% like Bill Gates, but Bill Gates carries a bag around with a ton of books in it. And so the libraries are very essential in American culture, whether you're a nerd or just a regular person who likes to read People magazine, or you want to go to the library and pick up a Taylor Swift CD, or a James Carroll book, or Professor Longhair, or Kalamu. I saw Tim back there was applauding. You know, and I was telling Jarvis earlier that, man, I was 17 years old in San Antonio, and so who comes on my radar? Kalamu Yasalam. And it's like, Kalamu called me up, and I'm going, dude, what is going on here, right? So the libraries are essential, and one of the things that it does, it opens up your world to things that you had never thought about, but you know, it's very essential if you're going to get an idea of what the world is all about. And so some years ago, when I was delivering the mail, I was in the presence of Tom Dent when he was writing his last book, Southern Journey, and I'm going, damn, dude, that was Lanyard. So I delivered the mail, I had the good benefits, I had a decent salary, but then I also had him, and I would talk to Tom, and it was like unbelievable. You know, sometimes you have to pinch yourself, but the libraries in and of themselves are very essential. I sometimes think that we take them for granted, but the libraries here in New Orleans, not only can you get books, you can get art that you can hang on the wall, you can get music, and one lady already alluded to it about the archives. And the archives are essential because in Louisiana we have coded law, whereas the rest of the country has got like common law. So the Spanish were really good in keeping some really detailed interactions and information, and because it was a code as opposed to common law. So that is one of the aspects that makes this state, with all our flaws, but one of the things is that we have these records that you can actually go back and look at. So I made a couple of notes here, and I'm starting to think about the idea about writers and libraries. And in the equation, I have no qualms, I'm the reader, right? So Maurice Carlos Ruffin has a really great website, because I'm not a writer, but and I don't sit in silence, but I think that's one of the essential qualities that you have to have as a writer, and you create the books and the works that we as readers really appreciate. But for the library, I'm thinking about in antiquity, the library at Alexandria, very crucial in Western society and to the world. But then one of the most overlooked libraries that a lot of people aren't aware of is the library that's in Timbuktu. And some people, that's just a blind spot for them. But the library in Timbuktu was a repository during the Dark Ages in Europe of some of the world's knowledge. And it's really funny, and I'll be short with this. So back in 94, maybe 95, Corey Harris sent me a postcard from Timbuktu, and I'm like, damn, man, who gets a postcard from Timbuktu? But this is how it was addressed. And it was so funny, and I always say, the Postal Service has its issues, but the postcard was addressed, Stan Taylor, mailman, New Orleans. It got to me, right? And so did some of my bills from the IRS. That's another story for another time. So one of the most important things that mattered in my years growing up was the access to the bookmobile. And I don't know if they do that anymore. Lady made mentions about the comic books, and I'm a huge Marvel comic book fan. And so Stan Lee was the one that created the comic book, The Black Panther, and such a great writer in and of himself, Stan Lee did. And so in roughly around 95, 94, they had a symposium at Tulane, and it was about a book that is very essential to American culture. It's called The American Dilemma. It was written by Gunnar Myrdal, and Dr. Larry Powell had put that together. Larry has moved, he went up to New England, but I told him I would send him some gumbo and jambalaya for Thanksgiving. But one of the people that was present at that symposium was Andrew Young, who is from New Orleans. And Andrew Young said something back then that still resonates with me now, and I think maybe in some kind of way it was in the ether. So Kelly had asked me to be on this Gus panel right here to bloviate and tell you guys about some of the stuff that I like. But Andrew Young said something that still resonates with me in 2025. He said, the moment that you stop reading is the moment that you die. So thank you for having me up here. Thank you. And I'm not taking any questions.
Give it up for Stan. Not only did he deliver mail, but he used to deliver gumbo to us and all kinds of food. When Jarvis was ill, he would just we'd open the door, he'd text us and say, check your porch, and there'd be something there. And so we love Stan. And also, earlier this week, Sunday, we did a tribute to Dr. Jerry Ward online. And one night, Dr. Ward called us, and he wanted to go out, and we couldn't do it. We were like, oh, we gotta help Dr. Ward. Who can do it if not us? Stan. And so Stan went and took care of Dr. Ward for us. It was late at night, and so he said, I'll go. And so thank you, Stan, for all that you do for the community and for your service as a veteran. We appreciate you. Shayna Turner is a writer with friends. She's a writer with friends. It's good to be a writer that has friends and support, okay? She's a writer, facilitator, organizer, and a grassroots educator. And this is a quote: most of what I value deeply I've learned from Black feminism, queerness, and working class culture. She has been a facilitator for many grassroots organizations and retreats. And as I mentioned earlier, she was part of the vision for Black Swan in Citrus City at Rue Carré. I still miss the avocado fries and the milkshake and the chicken. Oh my gosh, so good. Her work has appeared in Bayou Magazine, Bridge the Gulf, About Place. She is a 2025 Lambda Literary Fellow. Yeah. And was a finalist for the 2020 Penelope Nivian Creative Nonfiction Award. She is working on her first novel. And she's going to probably tell you a little bit about that. I will let you tell us a little bit more about that. But welcome, Shayna Turner, to the stage.
By the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings, I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence. The ones who gather and carry books from tent to tent in the midst of gunfire and bombs. Nearly a dozen times, Omar Hamad, a young writer from northern Gaza, has rebuilt his collection of books salvaged from the ruins of libraries destroyed by genocide. Novels in Arabic, French, Spanish, and English, documents of the first and second Palestinian intifadas, stories about Islam, Arab and Greek civilizations, science, physics, chemistry, knowledge, lineage, hope, rescued and persevered through 2 years of slaughter. By the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings, I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence. After September 11th, the FBI walked into a public library without court approval, demanding access to the records of library patrons in order to protect against international terrorism. While others rolled over in compliance with this coercion, 4 librarians in Connecticut refused. People say very confidential things to librarians, they insisted. What people are borrowing and looking at in a public library is nobody's business. It was the business of dignity that these librarians stood on through their year-long court battle against the government of the United States of America. David against Goliath, slingshot against tank. A local battle resulting in the ruling that the national security letter provision of the Patriot Act was the legislative equivalent of breaking and entering. These keepers of books, believers in their patrons' dignity, whose bravery overturned national policy, became part of a lineage known as the most dangerous librarians in the world. By the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings, I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence. There once was a library in Timbuktu, so splendid, people from all around the world would visit. This library was home to hundreds of thousands of 13th through 16th century manuscripts about art, medicine, science, religion, philosophy, history, poetry, written in Songhai, Tamashek, Bambara, Sonike, Fula, and Arabic, ancient records of our existence collected by librarian Adel Kadir Hadaira, who upon initiation as librarian, a position he inherited through generations of family, swore publicly to protect the library for as long as he lived. In 2012, militant extremists seized control of northern Mali in the face of invasion, of soldiers stoning unarmed couples, chopping off the hands of accused thieves, demolishing a 15th century mausoleum of Sufi Muslim saints, and burning 4,203 of Timbuktu's prized manuscripts. Hadaira organized a secret network of volunteers to smuggle the remaining 350,000 ancient archives of life. Every night for 8 months, boxes of books loaded onto the backs of donkeys were carried to safety in the south. Hadaira became known as the brave sage, the guardian of Mali's manuscripts, the badass librarian of Timbuktu, by the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings. I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence. Reginald Dwayne Banks was 16 years old when he began his 9 years of incarceration. 17, the first time he was sent to solitary confinement, where books were banned and where he became a part of an underground library. Hope, made from strips of sheets tied together to form a rope, pulled back and forth by the hands of men in buildings 40 feet apart, a pulley system, sneaking books tucked inside pillowcases to prisoners trapped in solitary, resistance delivered by the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings. I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence. There is a tradition of political prisoners drafting lines of memoirs and novels onto matchsticks, into the margins of newspapers, sent through thousands of text messages on a contraband phone, hidden in loaves of bread, tin containers buried in vegetable patches, words written on tattered toilet paper with the stub of an eyebrow pencil, the tiny shreds stuffed inside of pen caps, pill capsules, smuggled out in the bodily orifices of comrades, clandestine systems of circulation, risking life to liberate stories to the light of day, to become ink on page. Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, Letter from Birmingham Jail by Dr. Martin Luther King, One Day in My Life by Bobby Sands, Patriot by Alexei Navalny, The Trinity of Fundamentals by Wissam Rafidi, I Will Never See the World Again by Ahmad Al-Tan, Memoirs from the Women's Prison by Nawar El-Saadali, No Friend But the Mountains by Behrouz Bouchani, By the Power Within Me, reflecting the power of all living beings. I will protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence, libraries, temples of our reflections of the sensuality and cruelty of being in precious bodies for fleeting time, books, bloodlines, records that remember us to who we are, who we've been, who we may become, consciousness that we are earth, our skin soil, bone stone, the spit on our tongues from oceans returned through our tears, our most ancient way of connecting stories, circles around fire since human life began, opening portals to possibilities, vessels of imagination, passing on to our children legacies of humanity, seeing ourselves in others, shaping empathy, expanding knowledge, our ability to think critically, and creating some of our most foundational memories. Never before have so many states passed laws to facilitate the banning of books. The climb in numbers unprecedented and undeniable. So many stories stolen from children. Libraries at the front line of the battle. guarding our archives of life when bands attempt to dismember us from who we are, sever memory of who we've been, dismantle trajectories toward who we may become by the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings. I wield protection to surround librarians who risk freedom, limb, and life, preserving books through genocides, protecting dignity through tyranny, delivering hope to those in solitary, smuggling words inside their bodies, liberating stories to the light of day, vowing to protect libraries for as long as they live by the power within me, reflecting the power of all living beings. I wield protection to surround librarians who guard against annihilation of our records of existence.
Shayna Turner. This is Shayna's first Words of Music Festival, participating in the first Words of Music Festival, and I think this should be the last time. I'm just gonna put it out there. As a curator, we do this every year. I try very hard to find new voices, or I try to rotate. I don't like to just pick the same people all the time. And I try to bring in people that have, I think, the right spirit also for what we're trying to do, and that can just add something. And so I just try to mix it up. Thank you, Megan, for letting me break rules and do whatever I want to do to try to bring different energy and voices to Words and Music. That is kind of how I got thrown in this, really trying to push for new voices, and Black folks in particular, to be in this festival. So, thank you. Donnie Rose. First debut at Words and Music Festival was for the tribute to Aretha Franklin. I think that was the first one. Donnie Rose is a native of Baton Rouge, but he's our homeboy in New Orleans. He's in New Orleans now with his beautiful wife. Donnie is a performance poet, an advocate, he's a journalist, a teaching artist. He is the creator of The American Audit, and if you have not seen that work, you should. I'm sure it's on YouTube or something. It's a suite of multimedia spoken word projects that examine the Black American experience by infusing history, creative verse, and qualitative research into the performance text, which I'm sure some of that research probably came from a library or some source of that, right? Writers are always going to the libraries. His work spans 2 decades on stages and in classrooms. He is the truth. I'll just leave it there. Welcome, my brother, Donnie Rose.
Thank you, Kelly. How y'all feeling tonight? Cool. Yeah, that's good. Huh? Good. What's going on? I got you, dude. I'm 30. This song. All right. So I have 2 poems. One is slightly longer. One is definitely short, but they should both fall within the time frame. All right. This first poem is directly relative to our theme tonight, and it's spanking brand new. Begins with a quote from the novelist Ray Bradbury. Without libraries, what have we? We have no past and no future. 1. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was vagabond, traversing space and time in hopes to build family, and the Word was joined by other words, and those words were fruitful and multiplied into colonies of language, and those colonies consisted of tongues that spun phrases from a tapestry of dialects and accents. Those families of verbs and nouns and adjectives found temporary residence on tablets and scrolls and pages, and eventually bonded with parchment to become books, and those books lived a mighty long time in the private quarters of the privileged, locked away from an outside world that hungered for information. The American Library was born in 1731. Christened as public domain in 1833, for a time, its treasures was secluded to subscribers. For a time, it was the domain of the wealthy. For a time, the sons and daughters and mothers and fathers of stolen Africans were banned from entering its world of words after learning to read that which they were never meant to comprehend. 2, I am a descendant of Louisville, 1905, the home of the first free black public library. More directly, I'm a product of the Delmont Village Library of 1980s Baton Rouge, the one that sat cat-a-corner to the Piccadilly, the one that my mother, who taught reading to special needs students, first brought me to, the one where I rifled through card catalogs while working on my 6th grade research assignment and running into Fayana, my cute classmate with thick eyeglasses, who too was rummaging through cards of authors and titles while I tried keeping cool and concealing my crush. Before I knew of similar settings beyond my zip code, I was welcomed by the warmth of librarians who work in impoverished areas, where the dust that sprinkled the shelves and the hard wooden chairs that circled small square tables demanded reverence despite my hometown's best effort to ignore that they were there. My earliest lessons in silence, in sitting still with my thoughts, were forged within those walls, where the cost of unlocking history and fantasy and periodicals and encyclopedia were merely a plastic card and 2-week promise to return. 3, it is a chance I may not know love the way I know it had it not been for the free Wi-Fi of Goodwood Library. And what I mean is, the woman who now has my last name was once a top 8 friend on MySpace when I was far too broke to afford the high-speed connection that assisted me in shooting my shot. In my vagabond era, when home and family felt most distant, I read magazines and found resources and shared poetry advice with the soon-to-be love of my life, courtesy of broadband that only cost me the price of entering the building. The library's love language was always consistent. Come in, take a seat, cool off. Here's a passport to worlds that came before you, which can also be used for a future beyond the scope of your keystrokes. I can say those library computers were Cupid's wingmen back when my hate-ass limited minutes on my phone tried to throw shade on the sunlight I was walking toward. But I don't want to minimize my summer 2006 memories to those free Windows XPs transmitting my yearning to her PC. Because to do so is to tell an incomplete story. When I felt as if my young adult life was falling to shambles, when it did not seem likely I'd be able to dine beyond the dollar menu, let alone plan a dinner for 2. I spent many of days walking past their circular desks, head spinning with angst, not knowing what would become of me, but I never once felt judged, only assisted, given access, embraced. 4, they wanted to fund our libraries. They want to ban our stories they cannot redact for their comfort. They want to deprive us of resources, but no, not now, not in this lifetime nor the next one. I was assigned to teach poetry workshops at a pair of community libraries where the target audience were neighborhood kids left to melt in July swelter. And once upon that time, a city councilman tried to deny those babies the ability to write metaphors, because he was not aware of the wonder of tiny hands raised in excitement to read rough drafts out loud, was not versed on the value of a 7-week session of air-conditioned rooms, Capri Suns, and snack chips in a city whose summers historically wilted blooming flowers. If they had their way, there would be a tax levied on our curiosity. The doors of our literary lighthouses would remain sealed. A helping hand would transmute into a transactional one. and a library card would not be currency enough to open portals to worlds unknown. 5. In the future, there are libraries as libraries are gardens, grounds from which literacy grows, soil that cultivates safe spaces, archives that offer solid earth for our next chapters to emerge from, fertilized by the history they hold. In the future, there are librarians who come from a lineage of librarians, who hold wisdom that cannot be replaced by anything artificial, who are still pointing grandmothers in the direction of bathrooms and still asking children to quiet down a bit, who are still resourceful and still planning programs, still decorating according to the seasons and still repeating the same answers to commonly asked questions. In the future, there is still the word joined by generations of words that have found refuge in repositories, in reading rooms that have not been destroyed by the failed attempts of dictators. And we will have lived lives bookended by the ability to step into buildings created to be of service, to serve us. Thank you. So, my last one. As Kelly mentioned, the first time I was privileged to participate in the Words of Music Festival was 7 years ago, 2018, a tribute to Aretha Franklin. It was a very difficult time because one of my earliest spoken word mentors, who was also my first cousin, had died a couple of weeks prior to that. And today, November 21st, is the 7-year anniversary of when we did her tribute show at the Ashe Cultural Arts Center in 2018. And so, my wife Leslie and I moved to New Orleans this year, and it's been the weirdest phenomenon to live in the city that I visited all my life without that guiding light. So this last poem is not necessarily...
We miss her.
Yeah, we all do. So this last poem is not necessarily directly dedicated to her, but it definitely has an influence. It's called Family Dinner. We never actually pull up to the holiday table with shrapnel on our tongues or blood in our eyes, and that is the miracle. Black magic is the ability to make a burning world vanish, to make the mac and cheese of your culinary challenge auntie disappear no matter how burnt the crust may be, because you know she cooked it with the best intention. You hear that multi-generational belly laughter. That's the cackle turn roar, set to decibel levels, drowning out the bullet blast that broke the bodies of our loved ones like unleavened bread. That's the joyous howl, more pronounced than the twang of the racist judge that let our killer walk free. That's the jubilant squeal that echoes more voluminous than 1,000 cells slamming on our freedom. The wizardry is in the suspension of the woe and the welcoming of the woe, the lineage of lion dance, the saliva-stained cheeks that symbolize Nana's unconditional love, the cipher of held hands, bowed heads, unison prayers. We know that the day after the day, or maybe the day of, can deliver more bad news. Still, we choose our fellowship as the headline. And it is a story that always classifies as human interest. Thank you.
Donnie Rose. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Shayna. Thank you, Uncle Stan, aka Blue Collar Scholar, Naomi, Miss Sharon, Megan. On behalf of Words of Music, we thank you. I feel like this was intimate, like we were in like a living room, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you. if I may, I was taking some notes on the way here. I don't think this is a poem, and if y'all know me well, I never, ever read off my phone because I can't see sometimes. But I'm gonna try to close, and then, no, Donnie, all of you close. I'm just gonna share some thoughts I had, and then Megan is gonna give us some announcements for tomorrow. But I want everybody to do two things. One, I am on my way to, I think, my 15th funeral this year, tomorrow. And I want you all to take pictures with each other before you leave. Just snap a photo or selfie with someone before you leave here, and carry them with you in your phone so that we can create memories and not just a post. So when you look at the picture, you're like, I remember when we were all sitting talking about the libraries. Because one day, it might be any of us. So take some pictures so that you can remember, right? Secondly, I want you all to find some time to go to a library and find a librarian and say, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you've done. Post about the library. I mean, I'm about to, y'all paying people for streaming music. Do that include poems? I mean, I could put some music behind a poem or something. Something. It's hard times out here. Heard another book was banned today. And I don't know what day or year it is anymore. Or if it's just hell or politics. I smell the world burning, a planned fire pit. All our lives in one stir of evil. A match strikes from tongue speaking one language, kill. Imagine a country that could read red flags more than they could read headlines and slogan hats. If now is a meme, jokes on us. So funny I could cry. Books versus elected gangs. Legislation or death notice. What if I told you democracy was a shelf of books by authors that disagree? I heard another book was banned today, and even the trees wept. For what is a writer but a bird sitting on the branch of the world, witnessing all the ways words make light and thunder for the living. Thank you. Just a meditation on libraries. We thank you because libraries really are a place of democracy. Everybody and everything is up in there and we all have access to it. Thank you again, Ms. Sharon, for your 25 years of service. And with that, thank you. I'm Kelly Harris-DeBerry. Thank you for having me here tonight. And I want to welcome Megan Holt to the stage. I love it. Poets love a good sound. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start where Kelly ended, and that is to give it up for Quest, who's been adjusting the mic all night. Thank you also to Jessica from Justini's for being here. We all support the bar. To these events, local community organizations and partners. So thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you to Aria, who's the site manager for ACC. Sean Monroe's back here on the video camera. Most of us will be on YouTube later. All right, who else? So this whole idea for tonight actually started on the porch of a public library. What happened was, a friend and I needed to go sip coffee somewhere for free. And we said, where can we exist for free? A public library. And Brad Richard and I were talking about this as we were sipping coffee on a porch of a public library. And he said, you know, my husband did this documentary. And the next thing you know, a film and a reading happened. So thank you, Brad, and thank you, Tim, and thank you, Dawn. Shayna Turner, we just met tonight, but I'm really looking forward to your novel being here when it drops. I'm speaking out of places right now. Stanell Taylor. I've seen you in the audience at so many One Book, One New Orleans events, and you are always coming with the questions that are both thoughtful and thought-provoking, and I'm really excited to see you in front of the crowd instead of in it. So thank you so much tonight. Donnie Rose, I could not tell you how thrilled I was when I saw your name on the roster because I remember 2018 so well. That was our first year directing this festival, and you brought it then, you brought it tonight. Thank you so much. I look forward to many more things now that we're closer to Baton Rouge. Megan Braden Perry. I am so happy that in 2014, my baby would not let me leave the pizza joint until I got your number because he fell in love with your baby. So my son is Jefferson, her son is Franklin. Our little presidential sons are always there since day one. Thank you so much for being here. Naomi, was this your first time interviewing someone? Yes! She brought it, didn't she? If you would have to be interviewing people for the whole 13 years she's been alive. So normally we do a random drawing for Community Book Center gift card, but I think you won it. And last but not least, every now and again, when you say to someone that you know, I'm going to be doing something really difficult, they say, I believe in you. When you say, I'm going in this direction and it's wrong, they will gather you and they will steer you right. They'll come to you and say, I have a vision, let's work together to make it come to life. And some days they will literally grab the mic and start emceeing when you are losing your voice. Y'all, that's Kelly Harris-DeBerry. Thank you for everything you have done and continue to do. Everything you are and continue to be to the New Orleans literary community. Thank you, Kelly. Naomi, remember this as you go into your later teenage years. Kelly Harris-DeBerry is always right. And on that note, come back tomorrow. It's going to be really cool. Grab a postcard, scan the QR code, you can learn all about it, and I'm out.